Let's be real for a second. There's a huge difference between just running a construction business and then actually building a successful one. Some guys stay stuck, they scramble for years, they put out fires every single day, while others, they scale, they make more money, and they get their time back, right? And they have freedom in their life. So what exactly is the difference here, right? It's their skills. So today I'm breaking down the 10 essential skills that every GC needs to have to run a profitable construction business, to build a great team, to create that real freedom in your life. Because at the end of the day, that's why we're here, right? That's why we started a business in the first place. We want that freedom in our lives. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Jesse Lane and I help general contractors all across the world scale and automate their construction businesses. So if you're interested in learning more, just check out jesselane.com. I'll leave a link for that in the description. We could talk further. Look forward to speaking with you. Skill number one, probably the most important one. It's communication skills. If you can't communicate clearly, you're setting yourself up for constant headaches, miscommunications, and just a failed business, really. If you think about it, every project has clients, subs, suppliers, vendors, your internal team, and they don't know what's expected until you tell them, right? Mistakes happen, delays pile up, and suddenly you're in damage control mode. Have you ever had a subcontractor show up site like completely unprepared because they didn't get clear instructions from you or your team? That's a communication failure. So how do you fix it? Essentially, what I like to do is be clear and direct with no vague instructions, because people really need some specificity, right? That's the whole thing behind SOPs and communication, is being clear and direct, not being vague. And this may sound crazy, but sometimes you need to repeat some of the important details so they really understand what you're trying to say. Because the biggest problem with communication is the assumption that it's taken place. So never assume that it's taken place. Never assume that they understand what you're saying. The one thing that I'd like to do is recommend that you have them maybe say back to you if there's something important. Be like, just want to make sure you got that detail. Did you understand what I was saying? If they say it back, you'll really be able to see if they actually understand what you're saying, which is kind of tied into quizzes on SOPs. Within structure, I like to give quizzes. I don't like to just write an SOP and assume that they've understood it. I like to write an SOP or a checklist, whatever medium of content that I'm using to write that SOP. But then I like to have a quiz at the bottom of that and say, if this is your first time reading this SOP, we just have everyone go through, answer the quiz questions, because then it's like them saying it back to you, right? And if they pick the wrong answers, you'll be able to see that all within Structure software, structure.com, if you want to sign up for the best software for general contractors in the entire world, because then you'll be able to see if people truly understand the information that you're putting down. And this comes with any sort of communication, SOPs or not. So if you can master communication, you're going to have fewer mistakes, fewer delays, happier clients. And here's the thing, when communication breaks down, it doesn't just cause confusion, it costs you money, right? Mistakes, delays, and reworking everything, it really adds up. And that's why a lot of contractors fail, because they don't have good, very quality communication skills. And so it's really important to dial in and learn how to become a great communicator, especially if you want to run a business, let alone a construction business. The second skill that every general contractor should have is budgeting and financial management. So most contractors don't fail because they're bad at building. They fail because they don't know their numbers, right? Because they're bad at budgeting. Estimating, budgeting, tracking costs. It's not extra work and menial work. It's actually one of the most important things, because, like, for example, if you think you're making $50,000 on a job, but then you add up all of the material overruns, the change orders that you didn't bill for, the overhead that you didn't even think about, at the end of the day, you might be barely breaking even. So here's how to stay in control. First of all, we want to estimate properly. We want to factor in all the labor, the materials, and the overhead, right? You have to have the overhead percentage on top of everything. And of course, your profit on top of that as well. And you want to track expenses as you go. You don't want to wait until the end of the job. You want to log all your receipts. And you can do all of this within Structure. You can sign up at structure.com to get started for free. And plan for the unexpected, right? Budget for things going wrong. Build a little buffer in your budget. So, because, life happens. This is construction. So tracking your budget isn't just about knowing what's coming in and going out, but it's also about keeping your margins up, right? Which leads me into the third skill, which is your negotiation skills, right? We don't always want to be beating subs down on price. You want to keep as much profit as you can, but you just want to learn how to negotiate. So when you're dealing with vendors, subs, and clients, right? You want to get as much as you can for the project and try to buy it out for as little as you can, but still keeping subcontractors running their healthy business, right? So it's not about taking from them, it's just about fair market value. But if you're working with vendors and you just give them the price they ask for every single time, you're probably going to be losing some money. So this is a really important skill as a general contractor that you need to have, right? So imagine you're about to sign a contract with a new sub. You assume their price is firm. Let's say they want 100 grand, right? But you ask the right questions and you bring up the fact that you're going to be giving them lots of work in the long term. Maybe you're able to negotiate a better deal. A successful negotiation is really a win-win. If both of you have a good feeling and you have what you need and want at the end of it, it sets you up for the long term. And that's a plus for future projects. So be firm, but be fair, right? A good negotiation gets both sides what they need without cutting corners or, of course, not burning bridges or anything along those lines. And one of the biggest negotiation tips that I could offer you in this video is anchoring, right? So if your subcontractor says the price is $100,000, but you know fair market value is $90,000, maybe say, we were hoping for $80,000, right? It gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Don't just say, well, we need it for $90,000, because then you'll be like, okay, $98,000. You'll be like, ugh, I didn't get much off of the 100. But if you say, I'm looking for 80, then you're gonna anchor them lower at $80,000, and then you'd be like, the best I can do is $95,000. You can either say, okay, fine, and you got $5,000, or if they say 92, and you'd be like, okay, fine, I'll come up to 90. You'd be like, okay, great, because they, in their mind, they got you to come up from 80 to 90, but at the back of your mind, you knew that you needed to be at 90. But if they're like, I'll do it for 85, then you've won. The fourth skill is time management. If you're ever feeling like you don't have enough time in the day and there's just fires and all these things happening and the world's ending and all this stuff, right? It's because your time management is killing your efficiency, right? The small tasks might be getting in your way, and how you're laying out and blocking your time is a problem, and let alone running a construction project. Let's think about this situation, right? Maybe you're waiting on a subcontractor to finish the drywall, but they're 2 days late. Now your painters are standing around with nothing to do. That's wasted time and wasted money, right? So you fix it by prioritizing tasks, what needs to happen first. You don't want to overbook your team, and you want to use technology to track your progress as much as possible, right? So you can spot problems before they actually cause delays. And you need to be able to massage the schedule and work things around and create dependencies and move stuff. Like, for example, if one thing doesn't work out, have an alternative like a plan B ready to go. And that's why I highly recommend using Structure software, because it helps you manage all of this stuff. So effective time management isn't just about crossing items off a to-do list. It's about being flexible as well and keeping all of your projects and your items that you have to do moving forward. The fifth skill that you need to have as a general contractor is problem-solving ability. Even with the best schedule, things will still go wrong. We all know that, right? Every project always has its own set of surprises and headaches and everything happening, right? But the best GCs don't panic. They know how to solve problems fast. So what do you do when your framing crew shows up but the lumber delivery is nowhere to be found, right? Do you A, wait around and lose a full day of work? B, get on the phone, find a backup supplier, and keep things moving? Obviously, option B is a much better choice. A great general contractor always has a backup plan for everything that's happening in their world, right? So stay calm, cool, collected, think ahead, focus on solutions and not just the problem. Try to foresee the potential challenges and find a way to squash them before they even happen, like having a plan B in your back pocket. A lot of this will come with experience, but having also a creative mindset is going to really help. Your ability to overcome problems is going to strengthen you and your team, and it's going to grow your reputation as a reliable general contractor, because that's what clients are paying us to do as GCs, right? To solve their problems and to have the experience. Clients are going to trust you, not just for your craftsmanship. That's not what this is all about, but your ability to get the job done no matter what happens. But if you're constantly putting out fires instead of leading your team, you're going to stay stuck in the day-to-day grind. That's why a great GC doesn't just fix issues all day long, but build a team that can run smoothly without them having to micromanage every little thing. And that brings me to the sixth skill, which is leadership and team management. Because if you want to scale, you can't do this alone. A great GC knows how to lead a team, not just manage one, right? You've got to know how to motivate them. That means playing to their strengths and getting your subs to play well with each other, right? Have you ever had a crew that just didn't care right? I'm sure you have. Maybe the work was like sloppy. They left early when you weren't there. It's a culture problem, ultimately. Great general contractors, they set clear expectations so everyone knows their role. They lead by example, right? They show up on time, they work hard, and then your team's gonna follow. You wanna create a team environment. People work harder when they feel valued. You wanna tackle issues head on and have open and direct conversations with your team and find solutions with them and keep all the projects moving forward. By the way, if you're liking this video, then let me know down below with that little thumbs up button. Appreciate you. But if you want your team to respect you as the leader, you need to know what you're talking about, right? You don't have to necessarily be the best at everything or know every little micro detail, but when you understand somewhat of the technical side of construction, it's a lot easier to spot problems and guide your team and keep your projects running smoothly. The seventh skill is technical knowledge of construction, right? Because understanding how things built isn't optional when you're growing and running a construction business. Eventually, it won't matter as much. Like for me, knowing all the details and what screws to use where at this point in my life almost means nothing because, you know, I've already built my company and it's running without me. And by the way, if you want me to help you grow your company in the same way, you can check out jesselane.com. I'll leave a link for that down below and would love to help you get to that point. But when you're growing your company, you do need to understand how things are built so you can lead your team in the early days, especially because you need to be able to make smart decisions, right? So like if your subcontractor is telling you, or maybe telling your project manager or your superintendent, they're calling you like, boss, what do I do? Well, this can't be done. This can't be built this way. You need to know if it's actually true, if they're just looking for an easy way out. And hopefully you have a team that understands this as well. That's like the whole point. But you must understand how things are built and what materials are best and what's code compliant and what's not code compliant. It's gonna save you a lot of money and headaches. So the bottom line is the more you know about construction, from pouring the foundation to the final punch list, the more productive, efficient, and respected you will be as a general contractor. But even with all the knowledge in the world, you've still got to be able to adapt. Which brings me to point number 8, adaptability and flexibility. Construction is always changing, right? Materials get delayed, codes change, clients change their minds, weather happens, everything always is changing and things get altered. So even when you have the perfect project timeline, then it rains for 3 days straight. Do you have a backup plan? Or is your whole schedule wrecked? So the best general contractors have the skill to expect problems and adjust fast with no excuses, just solutions. Flexibility also means being proactive, right? They don't just wait for problems to arise, they expect them. And keep an open mind, whether it's finding new subcontractors to work with or learning about new tools or methods or trying another vendor for materials. The ability to adapt isn't just a skill, it's a mindset that's going to set you apart as a leader, right? And sometimes being adaptable isn't just about making these little quick decisions, it's about who you know. Which leads me to the 9th skill, which is networking. Your network is your net worth, as they always say. A strong network equals more opportunities, right? More money in your pocket, more leads, more marketing that turns into sales. I'm not just talking about having a stack of business cards on your desk either. I'm talking about real connections with real people who you can help and who can help you scratch each other's backs, right? Like, do you have backup contacts who can hook you up when your lumber supplier is a few days behind on their deliveries, right? Do you have someone you can call? Maybe a client needs a recommendation. Can you connect them to the right people? You want to be able to build relationships with vendors, subs, and even other GCs to save yourself money, get better deals, and open doors to bigger projects, right? You never know what kind of partnerships might happen. But no matter how many connections you have, none of it matters if your job sites aren't safe. The 10th skill is just being aware. I know this sounds like cliche and boring, but like you need to have a safe job site, right? You need to avoid fines. You need to not have OSHA show up on your job site, right? You need to be able to follow regulations. You need to get permits, right? This is protecting you and your business and everything, that like your livelihood. And don't think about cutting corners ever. So what happens when someone gets hurt? Like next thing you know, you're dealing with lawsuits and delays and a really bad hit to your reputation, right? So strong safety standards, although it sounds boring and cliche, really does set the groundwork for having a compliant construction company and a long-lasting construction company, right? And when clients show up to your job site and they see that you got the caution tape and the harnesses and all the stuff, you know, happening on their site, they're gonna be like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna get sued. I trust this contractor. He knows what he's doing. this is a safe and also productive site. At the end of the day, these 10 skills aren't just about running a better business, they're about giving you freedom. And the more you master them, the less you'll be stuck in the weeds, constantly stressing out about the next problem or the next fire that you need to put out. That's when you go from just being busy and burnt out to actually building something great that can run without you. If you enjoyed this video, give it a little like, maybe leave me a little comment down below. And if you are interested in getting my help from me and my team to radically transform your construction business, then check out jesselane.com. We'll see you inside Automation Blueprint Coaching Program, and I'll catch you in the next YouTube video. Peace.